So I've been gone for a couple of days, and crap has hit the fan. So Wonder Woman is going there. The Alamo Drafthouse is going to do a Wonder Woman showing for women only, kind of like a Paradise Island thing. And the internet has responded in kind. The shitstorm has started. But what really gets me is this article from Salon that totally misses the mark on the whole thing. Man babies cry digital tears over women-only Wonder Woman screening. Alamo Drafthouse announced that they were holding a women-only Wonder Woman screening, causing many a Twitter meltdown, by Matthew Rusha. Now, I'm going to do the entire article that Salon has put up. However, I'll still put the link in the description below if you want to read the original. Women are woefully underrepresented in movies. Not really. And as misogynist backlash against last year's Ghostbusters reboot revealed, there are plenty of people who resent it when women celebrate efforts to create empowering figures in our pop culture zeitgeist. Okay, first of all, he starts off intellectually dishonest. The backlash against the Ghostbusters started with a bad preview and continued when Sony said that the only reason that people didn't like the preview was because they were women. Had nothing to do with that. It had to do with the fact that the movie looked like shit. And then the backlash against Ghostbusters was when we all saw the movie and it actually turned out to be shit. And to be honest, before I saw the preview, I was excited about this. Kristen Wiig is funny. And if you put McCarthy with Paul Feig, it's gold. Bridesmaids, Spy, and Heat were funny in my opinion. This brings us to the backlash against Alamo Drafthouse, who will be hosting a women's-only screening of Wonder Woman across several locations on June 2nd. Said Morgan Hendricks, representative for the nationwide theater chain, we asked ourselves, how do we create a land of Amazonian women? Well, we just hold a women's-only screening, Morgan added. After all, she lives on a women's-only island and comes from a land of women. This makes perfect sense. Indeed it does. And it is a great idea if you want to break the law. Discrimination is discrimination, no matter who it is against. Now, I am very curious to find out what would happen if a guy went up and tried to buy a ticket to this showing. Because if they turn him away, then they would actually be breaking the law. There was a whole brouhaha not too far back based on the same ideas. And then, fair enough, the article goes to show some of the tweets that are basically pointing out the hypocrisy of the entire thing. If you had a guys-only screening of Thor 3, there'd be an uproar, and you know it. Well, there's an uproar now. It's just not as many people are listening because it's men saying, hey, wait a second, this is actually sexual discrimination. Even this young lady, Lachelle, at Lachelle, says, not impressed, Alamo. If there were a men's-only screening, the uproar would be deafening. Feminism is about equality, not gender exclusivity, excuse me. And that is actually a truth that's been argued many times against this modern wave of feminism. They hardly seem to be about equal rights for women, and I hardly think that they believe that women are equal in the first place if you hear the way they talk about women. Ryan Tabai at Sir Tabai, I love that name by the way, says, I hope someone sues this is discrimination based on sex. I agree with that, but like I said, it would take somebody trying to buy a ticket and then being refused to set up any kind of case. And if he loses, wouldn't that be precedent for people to actually discriminate against anybody later in court? I'm not a lawyer, but maybe one of you could say, you know, is that an accurate assessment? If, you know, this could actually be set some sort of precedent. Tony Lee says, imagine the shitstorm if there was any male-only showing of anything, or a private showing for a specific race or sexual orientation. Nah, this is SJW approved. The article didn't expand Ryan Scott Serrano's tweet that says, I love Alamo Drafthouse and watch all my movies with y'all and still will, but separating any group from another is very odd. And you have to agree with that. Otherwise, you are practicing the discrimination that this guy is saying he's against. And that's the gist of all the tweets. Basically, well, if you're going to have a women's, you should do a men's, or you cannot do one. You cannot do one and not have the other. That's basically what these tweets are saying. That is true equality. But the Salon writer does not see it that way. He sees as, well, some people were bothered, therefore they should be able to bother you. Some people were discriminated against, therefore they should be able to discriminate against you. And that is not equality. That's not being against discrimination. That's just choosing the people you appreciate the discrimination of. And this is where he becomes intellectually dishonest and then confrontational. To their credit, Alamo Drafthouse has actually tried to respond to some of these comments in a relatively mature and straightforward manner. Notice they never show any of the Alamo responses, so we have no idea about this. According to Salon, I'm sure you can find them somewhere out there. The problem, of course, is that the people making these arguments aren't doing so from a reasonable place. Unfortunately for him, they are, because it's from a discriminatory argument. If you are discriminating against a whole group of people based on their gender. The idea that a woman-only screening is analogous to a hypothetical men-only screening is clearly absurd, especially considering that women are the group that has been underrepresented in superhero movies, not men. But we're not talking about what's on screen. So no matter what you think about what happens on screen, because we know Wonder Woman's the first female superhero film, sure. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about what happens off screen. We're talking about what happens at the box office. And as far as everybody knows, it is illegal to discriminate based on gender. So a box office that's not selling women's tickets to women is breaking the law. And that's what we're talking about. But he wants to change the argument to what is happening on screen. And I just realized that in my rant, and I apologize, it's a late hour, I did make a mistake. Wonder Woman's not the first female superhero movie, so let's take a look at some of the female superheroes that have come out before, and maybe we can understand why women have been underrepresented in superhero movies. We had the Look at My Boobs version of Pamela Anderson's Barbed Wire, an incredibly slow, boring, yet somehow ridiculous movie about Elektra. And I don't know who they're trying to convince, but this is not Catwoman. I'm still waiting for a Catwoman movie. It's not the sexism or anything like that. It's not discrimination that's kept female superheroes off the big screen. It's the poor performances of the female superheroes in the past. Let's remember one very important thing. The poor reception to Batman and Robin kept The Dark Knight off the screen for nearly a decade. And the crap fest that was Superman 4 kept the one that started it all off the big screen for over a decade. It's no more reasonable to assume an air of victimhood when hearing about such an event, particularly by comparing it to racial segregation, given that white male privilege remains very real. Did you notice there were also no tweets about anybody saying anything about racial segregation? So this, he shifts the argument over to a point that nobody's trying to make. And he mentions white male privilege. Not a thing, guys. Not in 2017. Get over it. I have to admit, this kind of thing really pisses me off. Not because he's saying, oh, well, white people put on airs and they go on about it. It's not because of me. He can't insult me. I don't know this man. You can't insult me. It's ridiculous what he writes. But what he is writing is that if you are black, you are weak. If you are a woman, you are weak. And that's the kind of thing that just, it gets my hairs all standing up. It's ridiculous. And people look at this and they go, oh, well, he's going against the white man and that's awesome. No, he's not. He can't. Because as a white man, I'll tell you, we are told from the beginning you can do anything. But that's not what women are being told now by feminists like this guy. They're being told that you are a woman, therefore you cannot because of me. Because of men, women can't do something. Because of white people, black people can't do something. That's the whole point of what he just said there. It's ridiculous. We had a shining beacon on the hill as far as a president is concerned that should have, the whole focus of the last 8 years should have been that anybody can do anything. But that's not the message that places like Salon wanted to get across. Just the opposite was what they got across. And even if you disagree with his policies, You have to agree that he should have been a role model to show everybody that hard work and determination is what it takes to get you to the top, and anybody can do that. Indeed, it isn't sensible to get incensed at hearing about a women's only screening for any movie, much less one about a character as iconic and empowering as Wonder Woman. Yes, Wonder Woman is empowering, therefore she has to be segregated from male poison. And here's where, like I said, the disingenuous feelings come in. I mean, this guy is not saying he's against racial discrimination. He's not against sexual discrimination. He just wants to be able to say who it is okay to discriminate against. And in this case, and I'm sure in all cases, it will be white, heterosexual males. Discrimination is discrimination. Racism is racism. Sexism is sexism. Doesn't matter which direction it's going in. And it doesn't mean this plus power. It means, do you feel a particular way about a race or a sex? That's it, guys. And that's what makes these people ridiculous. As ever, pop culture carries political weight. And those who want to protect male privilege, doesn't exist, frequently do so by fighting petty, often disingenuous battles in cultural spaces. This is coming from the guy who's been disingenuous for an entire article. We've seen it before with the reaction to Ghostbusters. Already explained Ghostbusters. The creation of Gamergate. That was not based on sexism. Look it up. And with male critics being disproportionately harsh on female-led movies. Citation needed. The shtick is tired and it's time for these boys to grow up. Well, that last paragraph was basically a summary of what happened before, so I already touched on all those points. This guy has his head so far up his ass, he's actually looking out his own eyeballs again. So, his name is Matthew Raza, and it says he's a breaking news writer for Salon and holds an MA in history. That is very odd to hear this, because usually those who do not know history are the ones that are doomed to repeat it. But apparently he knows history, and he's very happy to repeat it. It's just that he wants to be able to pick, once again, who is being discriminated against. Now, if you've noticed what I've been talking about, it's actually not against the showing at Alamo. I could give a crap. If there's an if I'm standing in a line and 250 women are in front of me and everybody gets tickets, there's going to be an all-female showing of Wonder Woman, and that's not going to affect my life, nor is it going to affect my enjoyment of the Wonder Woman movie one little bit. However, what has affected people is this idea that women are weak or black people are weak because they are women and are black people. We have seen this with the rise of Antifa, the college kids standing up for arguments that aren't really a problem. And that's the message that I'm trying to fight against by tearing this article apart, by looking at it and just arguing the point. It's the fact that this entire website actually is, the whole purpose is to make women feel small. To make it seem like white men control the world. I'm an unemployed man trying to make money on YouTube. There is nothing about white privilege. It's all decision privilege. It's the decisions you make that affect your life. But let me clarify something I just said. I'm not against the Alamo showing on a moral level. And it is illegal. You can't discriminate based on sex. And they really should think about that before they go through with this. And I do not blame any man that goes up, tries to buy a ticket just to start a lawsuit. It should happen. If they go through with this showing, it should happen. Somebody should sue them. Because it is wrong to discriminate, no matter whether you're woman or man. But that's my opinion, and I know I got preachy in a couple of places. What did you think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I full of crap? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you like this video, please click like, please share, and don't forget to hit subscribe and the little bell for notifications. More importantly, though, thank you very, very much for watching.